First of all, good evening, everyone, and I welcome you all for this AWS Solutions Architect Training Program. So, just let me recap what we have spoken in our last class. Yes, I think we have spoken some couple of what we call is, I mean, some of the areas which are for advanced and some of the additional services which we have gone through. So, I think we have spoken on kinesis, that is data streams and video streams. We spoke on that. I gave a short presentation. So that I think there is no lab for that, but still, if you want, you can do a lab. I have shown you the lab on kinesis that is mostly being used by the data analytics people or the data sciences people. You can see this in machine learning if you are very much interested. Yes, there is a video. I have given the URL also. Please, you can go through. I think one of the member asked me about the code. I forgot. I'll give you by today on that particular video. And yes, we spoke about the kinesis. The most important thing for our exam point of view, you need to understand, and also some generic understanding is about the shards. I spoke about the shards, about how you calculate the shards. Shards are like the size of your buffer and also the streaming capacity. The more the shards, the more the streaming can be done. And yeah, read Mbps and write Mbps. Write is 1 Mbps for one shard, and read is 2 Mbps for one shard. Read is 2 Mbps, write is 1 Mbps. Please remember that is very important. Shard calculator may be asked. And that is one important thing. We saw about the data producers and also the data consumers. And in between, you have your sciences, I mean, data sciences, your algorithms, or whatever you say, you can apply accordingly, and then you can put it in finally the data consumers like any of the storage, like your S3 storage or EBS storage, or it can be even like your what we call your database also. You can DynamoDB, you can have it in DynamoDB, etc. Whatever it is. So there is a in between services called a data firehose. We already spoke about the data firehose. So this data firehose is doing about the job of ETL. Please remember this type of question also may come. ETL, extract, transform, and load. So three functions it will do: extract, transform, and load. So majority of the task is done by this fire hose. So please understand. And then we also spoke about kinesis data analytics. Okay, you can do some kind of what we call as analysis and then push it into the data consumers. So this is the task. This is the service which we have learned on our last class. And then I think if I remember clear, that we did one of the KC also. So these are some of the activities which we have done in our last class. Yes, these are the additional services, but still you may get one question sometime or two questions in your examination of solutions architect. Whether it is going to carry the marks, weightage marks or not, I don't know. But we need to know about all those things. I told you about there are 50 questions which carries marks and 15 questions no, marks will be there, but we don't know which questions are of those. Okay, so these are the things which we have spoken. Still more, we have one more important service which we need to know is the containerization. Okay, this is an advanced module, but still we need to know about containerization. There is no free tar and there is no lab for your what we call as in your sandbox environment. Also, we can't do that. But still, please understand this how it functions and what type of questions you may get in your exam also is very, very important. And there may be a challenge also, I tell you, even in the interviews recently, I hear for solutions architect, if you are going, they may ask you about, because these are microservices and people do often gain a lot. Even if you have some kind of awareness in this particular area, it would be highly appreciated. So for having this awareness, what I have done is that I have done a small video of 2 parts, which is already there in YouTube. Okay, so you can go through that video also. I will be explaining about those things in today's class. And also we have one more KC to complete all of our cases. Okay, we will do that part. And then if time permits, we'll go for a review, and then we will also move ahead further with exam preparation, that is tomorrow's class. So maybe tomorrow's class will be the last class for us. I'll give you all the review, your questionnaire, and how to prepare for your exam, and start preparing. The only way to prepare your exam is to work across. You have to work seriously all the questions, because all the questions we have already done, and there are some topics which may be known little bit, but you have to understand in such a way that how to extract the information. That is the role of a solutions architect. So services needs to be. And if there are still any high level questions, yes, we can always discuss in WhatsApp group also. Yeah, this is all which is for today's agenda. We will start with today's agenda. If there are any quick questions from any one of you, please let me know. Yes, please. If there are no questions, just let me know that there are no questions.
So I have one question.
Yes, Shashank.
In the last class, you explained about the
Kinesis.
multi-site. No, not the kinesis. What is multi-site disaster?
Multi? What did you say once again? Multi?
Multi-site disaster.
Multi-site disaster. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I missed that. I think I was missed that part. So can you just explain again what is exactly that?
You know about the disaster? Disaster means
Yeah. That I
any
know.
sudden panics.
Panic.
Sudden
Yeah.
things. If
Correct.
with your unplanned outages are called as disasters. Unplanned. If anything is planned, you know that today evening you are going to shut down, it's not called as a disaster. You are giving notification, and that those are not considered as outages, planned outages. Anything which is like, I'll tell you the major, there are, see, disasters can be multiple types. One disaster which is like you can think about is a small disaster. If there is a small loss, then it is a minimal disaster. Minimal disaster. Okay. If there is a major disasters also may happen. Major disasters like total power outage for the entire data center, power outage, or the UPS controlling the entire rack of servers. If the UPS fails, then what will you do? Right? What will you do?
Correct.
We have no choice.
No.
That UPS. I'm saying about the UPS. Not the, if power has gone. Okay, it is governed by, it is basically UPS will take care. Generally, 1 to 2 days of full power outage will be there, and beyond that there will be generator sets also in the data centers. Generators, which fuel will be for 30 days. That much amount of they'll keep. So normally it is well planned. But sometimes what happens is that UPS itself may fail. Certain UPS automatic triggering will happen. If primary UPS fails, automatically second UPS will take care. But those things, I'll tell you, if it is anything less than 18 milliseconds of trigger, that switching, the connected servers will go for a reboot. Is this clear? If it is less than 18 milliseconds, the connected servers to the UPS will go for a reboot. So if it is anything which is going for a reboot, is a disaster, because there are many services which are already loaded on the memory and it's running. If it is goes a reboot, then application is totally off.
Correct.
Right? So now how will you plan? How will you plan? So then for that, we have a multi-region control. So if primary server fails, you have, if it is too critical, if your business is too critical, what will you do? You go for multi-site.
Multi-site. Agree.
Right? Like even RDS also can go up to 15 replicas.
Okay.
You can go up to 15 replicas. So normally what happens is that these replicas are well planned across various regions. Two things. Why they go for various regions? One is site failure, right? And second thing is across the world regional load balancing. Is this clear? Across the regional load balancing. So sometimes it so happens that, see, we plan very well in two regions. So Hyderabad is one region, Mumbai is also one region, right? But if there are certain things like hartal, like what we call it, a lockdown or something like that, suddenly it happens.
Okay.
Across the country, any glitches is coming, camera glitches.
Okay. Yeah, just little bit of a few seconds.
Okay. So sometimes it happens, local strikes in multiple regions. Then what will you do? They'll target sometimes. Some people will target this type of servers only, traditionally. So that is one of the reason. Two different countries they will say. North America, you have about 6 or 7 data centers itself. Only North America. East you have 3 and West you have 3. I think three. So total 6 or 7 you have. Sometimes it so happens that the entire say, 3 or 4 regions which you are having will have a common grid, power grid.
Correct. That could be
What
possible.
happens if the power grid fails?
Definitely, or entire
It will go for a
data.
reboot.
Yes.
It will go for a or it will go for a shutdown, or it will go for sometimes not all the servers are kept in full UPS monitoring, nothing like that. If it is business critical, we do all those things. But still, majority of the servers are there. So earthquake has come.
Yes.
Earthquake has come. Will it be only in one location or 3 or 4 regions?
Maybe 3 or 4 regions.
Regions also.
Correct.
It can happen in the entire Asia or entire Europe or something like that. So this type of things needs to be well planned. Multi-site. Multi-site disasters. So there are, see how much we spoke about this, what we call as how much time you can afford for lose your data, how much time whether you can afford for so and so. After all the calculations, right? We generally come up with a plan. No, my business requires high importance across various regions. So naturally, I have to go for redundancy in such a way that the geography itself will be different. Geography itself will be, one will be in Australia, the other may be in Europe, not nearby like Japan or Tokyo or something like that, because all of them are running in the common time zones. So these are all called as multi-disaster planning.
Okay.
Multi-disaster planning. You have 1:1 hot standby. Some people, what they do, they have the server. I'll tell you, they have the server in what we call as in Tokyo, but the storage is not in Tokyo or Sydney in that zone. They'll create somewhere in Europe and they'll attach through NFS. Even if the region fails, you have the what we call as cloud formation template. You can create a server in any other place, nearby place, and then you can attach the storage. It is really live and working. Some people do that. You'll get an alert, immediately you can do that. No, my business cannot tolerate even 1 microsecond also. Then you create 2 servers, put it across the load balancer. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Or some people will have two multiple VPCs and share the endpoints.
Yeah, that is also.
Got it? So this is called as multi-site disasters. Generally, the project manager prepares all this kind of planning. But solutions architect is no less than a project manager. That's what I mean to say.
Yeah, exactly. Nowadays,
Right? He is technically plus managerially, both things he has to do. There are two kind of project managers. So some of you might be aware of that. Technical project manager and people project manager. You
yeah,
are aware of
exactly.
that? Okay. Technical project manager needs to be an architect. People project manager will only take care about the people. That's all. Their time sheets, billing, and all those things they'll see. Only they'll come through any escalations or something like that. They don't go much into the technological front. The technical manager seriously work across with the team leads. Right? Is this clear, Shashank?
Yes, sir.
And anyway, disaster planning is a very, very, very large subject, I tell you. You need to go through this ISO 27001 if you want to know detailed disaster planning. There is one full domain only for DRP. Heard about this ITAL?
ITL, yes, I heard about
ITAL.
change
One module
management.
is there for
IT.
disaster. DRP,
Okay.
one full module is there.
Okay.
Same thing applies here. ISO 27001, we call as that. ISMS, Information Security Management System. There are about 10 domains in IT support and delivery. Okay, like your incident planning, your problem management, your change management, release management, okay, your service desk, and of course in delivery you have business financials, disaster recovery planning, that is DRP, disaster recovery planning, capacity planning, okay, all these kind of managements are there. If you are ITL, if you are going through, but I suggest at a level, if you are in the support team, go through those areas. You will definitely go through multiple templates related to disaster recovery. right?
Yes.
Okay, is that clear?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, any other questions?
No, thank you so much.
Right, right. Any other questions from any members? Any other questions? So let us move ahead with today's session. So I'll give just an
Sir,
introduction about. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Actually,
Yes,
there is
Naveen.
some problem with the communication. Rubina has not been invited to this meeting. It's a new invite, right?
Rubina is not a new invite, right?
Um, Rubina is not new invite, but we received some new communication from your this thing. She could not able to log in. That's what she is telling in
No,
other
no,
WhatsApp.
the same one. I think all of you have logged in with the same invite, right?
No, sir. You cancelled the old one and then you initiated the new invite. Means before
Right.
joining this call, I actually
Okay,
referred
okay,
that
okay. I'll tell you what happened. Second was the last date of the previous invite.
exactly, sir. Maybe.
So I extended that.
Okay. So might be they did the link is different the previous one. So they
Mm.
are unable to join. So let me
In
just
the new
see.
list, her name is not there. I mean, her email ID is not there.
Oh,
So
is
she
it also?
asked me to communicate to you.
I think it is there. I think everyone, whoever it
I
is,
try to
just
forward.
whoever is having the invite link, just to place it across in the group. One of you can do that. I have just what the previous one itself. I have extended up to fifth.
I shared the link. I don't know. For some reason, she could not able to log in.
Uh-huh. Nothing more in that because there are some members are coming as guest only. They are not coming through this any other external link, additional link.
Trying to paste the
The
link.
link which you got it right, the same link you can forward it.
I
Uh,
just pasted in the group.
WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
The earlier one, the team, I have only invited up to second, I think, 2nd of September.
Okay.
I extended that.
I pasted into the chat.
Huh? In the
I
chat.
pasted it. Yeah, in the WhatsApp chat.
Right, right, right. I
Pasted
think
it, whether it is working for her or not sure. The same.
because you all joined with the same link, right?
Yeah.
Then she should also get through. I didn't restrict anyone because there are a number of people who are coming as guests also in this. Otherwise, if an invite comes, then I can accept also. I just responded her saying invite sent in the group. I think she should. She didn't see till now. I think she didn't see. She'll watch and join. Okay. In case if any one of you receive communication, just let me know. Okay. So where am I? Yeah. Yeah. Where am I? Yeah. Yeah, today's class. Any other questions? Okay, so let us go through one of the important one, even though it's not much being asked for solutions architect, but still it is always good for us to learn. So that is the what we call as the containers. Containers. So we have two services, especially in containers. That is ECS. First one is ECR, and the second one is ECS. ECR for Elastic Container Registry, and the second one is for container service. Please understand this is very easy one only, but doing means we need to understand certain important things. So why should we use a container? That is one of the important things. Why we should use a container? I'll tell you very simple. If I ask you, if you go to the open market, okay, maybe any maybe like a vegetable market or a kirana market or somewhere. If I ask you, okay, please go and get me 1 kg of what we call as tur dal, okay, something like that. Say maybe, sir, they are charging about 100 rupees. Imagine 1 kg 100 rupees. Suppose if I ask you same thing, the same tur dal, not 1 kg, about 50 kgs. Will you charge at the rate of 100 rupees or lesser? Yeah. Yeah. Anyone can answer? Simple question only. 1 kg 100 rupees in the open market. If I ask you to buy about 50 kgs, will you charge high or less?
Less, definitely. More quantity will reduce the cost. Volume, high volume always reduce the
Will
cost.
reduce, right? What is the reason behind that?
Because the new product or new the item is getting sold directly to the one person, and
Lesser administrative expenses.
correct.
Okay, lesser logistics, lesser cost of communication. Communication. All everything lesser in one go. He is making profit. See, even in 1 kg, if he is making about 30 rupees profit, 30 rupees profit. Okay, if I say or 20 rupees profit, in 50 kgs, he need not require 50 into 20,000 rupees. He doesn't want. Even if he gets 200 or 300 rupees at a go, it's okay for him because rest of the whole day he can sell more.
Correct.
So he'll definitely give it for 75 or 80 rupees. Yes or no?
Yes.
So because lesser time, he's getting in a lesser time more profit. Instead of selling on a day about 30 kgs, he's selling about 50, more than 50 is selling, and he's still getting more profit. The same way or the similar way, even this microservice also will help you. What is that? What is that? For your organizational requirement, you have about 10 EC2 systems, 10 servers, right? 10 servers. Each server maybe you take it for something like similar to T2 micro or T3 micro or something like that, similar. I'm only giving an example. 10. So you pay about $10 a month. I'm giving an example. So 10 servers, how much it is the billing on an average per month? It is coming to $100. Just stop me if you are unable to understand. Okay, so $100 you are paying. See, you know the first basic definition of cloud, even EC2. EC2 means Elastic Compute Cloud. The definition of EC2 is a virtualized system hosted in a cloud. Yes or no? A virtualized environment hosted in a cloud.
No.
Is this clear? So you know that it is a virtualized, nothing is physical. Nothing is physical. So same thing, your AMIs are virtual, your storage is also logical storage, your servers also are virtualized servers. There is nothing which is called as physical servers. There is no physical server for you. Everything is in a big pool of environment, it will come. So what Amazon says, forget about Amazon. The current trend says that rather than having 10 small pieces, buy a large piece and you divide into 10. If you buy a large one, you divide into 10. What is the advantages? Just think about and tell me.
The cost effectiveness and
Cost
administration of
effectiveness, first is cost effectiveness will be there. Rather than 10 into 10 is 100 on an average, you pay only 70 or like that previously, Turdal. Same thing will come. 70 or 70 or 60 or 75, something like that. One is cost effectiveness. What else?
you can manage the things according to your requirement.
Absolutely. Suppose you have a big piece. You have a big piece. One fellow wants a large piece and the other fellow wants smaller piece. You can dynamically manage. I mean that one fellow suppose if you are having about 20 GB of RAM. So rather than having 2 for all the 10 systems are getting to 2 GB, one fellow may not really require. His requirement is very simple. He'll say that I can even manage with even half a GB or 1 GB also RAM. So that extra piece you can give it to a person who is already loaded.
Correct.
Is this clear? That is one big advantage. You can dynamically allocate your resources. to the person, so that the fellow who really need can always be given a large piece, and the other person. This is called as micromanagement. What else? Cost effectiveness, dynamic allocation of resources. What else? Yeah, I want others also to participate. Just speak whether it is right or wrong. Oh, Shashank is speaking. I appreciate him. Others also I want. Yeah. Shashank, you also speak. No problem.
Maybe we can share the things like one memory can be shared by the multiple um,
That is what
like
dynamic allocation of resources.
that is it itself a
Dynamic. Even you can have half CPU, 0.25 CPUs also. With containerization, you need not allocate the complete CPU power to one system minimum. You can have even 0.25 CPU also. If you know that you don't have any working resources, not much, sometimes some transactions will come, then what you can do? You can allocate 0.25 CPU. Enough. So that is all dynamic allocation of resources. Yes, what else? What else? You are missing a larger pieces. You are thinking only small. See, I'll tell you, there are many pieces where client really, really appreciates your dialogues. I tell you, you have to speak related to performance, related to redundancy, okay, related to cost. Cost is already spoken. So you're not speaking on all these grounds. You're not thinking. You have to go outside the box, right?
yes, that
So
is
you
also
have a high redundancy also. You need not go for others. You can have your own. See, auto scaling, you can have it on your own because you have resources. You have load balancer, you can have your resources.
yes.
So what is the biggest advantage if you have like that? You are not only basically see you are using the higher class technology at a lower level. Still you are maintaining. I mean cost savings also. The cost is also minimum guaranteed. I tell you 25 to 30% savings. Especially if you are a large scale enterprise customer. Small one or two may not really feel those things because the initial cost will be higher. Is this clear?
That is
Right? So this containerization is becoming very, very, very effective recently. Like earlier, cloud itself was a big benefit for everyone. I agree. We already knew about this virtualization concept. We do VM boxes in our systems also. So these are not fully virtualized systems. Okay, these are called as para-virtualized. Fully virtualized means it will start from the resources like CPU, memory, hard disk, everything will be virtualized. Means allocation is done to a particular resource means that resource is now dedicated to so and so system. But what we are doing VMware and all these things in our local systems is para-virtualized. It will show a simulated environment, but in real time it won't work. It will work in fully virtualized environment, and this is how it is done. It is done with the
good.
containerization, and the behind architecture and containerization, who does all these things is the Docker service. Is this clear? The Docker will do all these things. The containerization part which you are seeing at the top level, the behind engine is the Docker. Is this clear? The behind engine is the Docker. So let us learn about the Docker. So the creation of your what we call as the engine, everything is with the help of Docker only, and we manage the service at the top layer. So I'll just show you a small outline about this particular one. So I may speak about Fargate later, but first of all, let us understand about the Docker. The Docker, what is Fargate and all these things, I'll show you. I'll tell you later. So the first part is that we are going to learn about the registry. Registry. Registry means that you need to register. How do you register? With the Docker service. Once the registry is done, then you can launch the container. Then you can launch the container. The second part is your container service. The first part is your registry. Is this clear? Registration means you're defining all the configuration. You are defining about the images. You are defining everything. Once the definitions are done, the registration is done, you are ready to use the containers. Is this clear? Please acknowledge.
Yes, sir. Sorry to stop you. I see
Yes, sir.
Chandan is in lobby. He pinged in WhatsApp asking
Sorry?
you to. Chandan, he seems to be in the. Yeah, he asked you for an entry.
Uh, so is this not the meeting invite for him, Chandan?
Looks like he pinged the same meeting link which Naveen is in, and Naveen link is also similar to the one he pinged, but I'm not sure.
Naveen is there, right?
Naveen
Sir,
is
yes, sir.
here.
Even Chandan was also there, looks like earlier. I don't know why he got dropped and then he was asking something wrong today's invite.
It's
It is very
showing that
clear
one
here.
person is there, sir, but we are not able to find with there. In the participants list is showing that like 1 and 2 people are present in the waiting lobby, sir. But in the waiting lobby, it is showing as 0, sir.
No, I don't see anyone in the waiting lobby. See, I can share invite also. Copy meeting link. It is copied. See, I can share the same meeting link in the chat box. So whoever is having access to chat, please send this message. I just sent through chat box. Yeah. I think same one has been sent. 70, same thing. 2% 70. See, can anyone know about their mail IDs in case?
Can you see someone in the lobby, sir? Looks like Chandan shared a screenshot.
No, can someone let me know his mail ID in case? Because these are the people who got the invitees. I just want to add optional, additional. No, let me check her mail ID.
Chandan shared his email ID.
Can someone read? Uh,
Chandan Patel 476.
And then double N, right? CHANDAN ATL 476 at Gmail. Every time they change the mail IDs. Now Rubina is having a different mail ID. So I had sent update for all. You can ignore that. Okay, let me wait till other members join. So I was speaking about what is that? Containers. So first part of your container is your what we call as registry. Okay, registry and container service. Just go through the highlights of all these things. So the behind engine for your registry and for your containerization service is your Docker service. Is this clear? The Docker. See, in this, there is nothing which is from Amazon Web Services. It's completely from the Docker service only. So this comes under DevOps actually, but still it is advisable for all of you to understand about this service. Okay. So here there is a short notes also. I think it is already there in what we call as in the drive also. Okay. So please understand this one. From your EC2, how we are going to create using this Docker service. This is your Docker service. The first part is your ECR. Please stop me if you are not able to understand. The first part is your ECR. So what does ECR do? Elastic Container Registry. It basically creates using this Docker service. You take the image, like we know about the images of AMI, private images. Okay, you create your application, create your what we call as operating. You create your EC2 everything. Once it is created, you get an image AMI file. So that you can that image file AMI is completely for Amazon machine image. Similar to that, you have a Docker image. Is this clear? The Docker image. You have a Docker image, which the Docker understands that this is an image file which can be used in any of your EC2 machines, any of your machines, basically any of your system machines. So once this image is created, so this needs to be registered. This process of registry. What is the meaning of registry? What is the meaning of registry? No, not yet joined. The meaning of registry means that whatever you have created now, it is recorded, and this can be used for further information, further for launching of your container service or anything. It can be used. And these images, you have two types. One is public images where everyone can make use. The Docker images which you create, the public and private. Private means that only exclusively you can use. Is this clear, everyone? Private and public Docker images, which is it's not exactly the same of your AMIs. The Docker engine, based on the EC2, the application, everything, it creates an image. And that image is kept in the Docker images. That images can be of two types. One is public, the other one is private. Public, you can make use, everyone can make use, anyone can make use. Private, exclusively you can make use. But public, I think there are very, very little charges or no charges at all. I think you can create even 50 GB or 50 TB, I think something like that, public images. He has given free of cost. But private, he has not given anything free of cost because that is exclusively for you. The charges will be there. So once this process is done, this Docker images is ready, this is ready, these can be pushed into a repository. Please understand that repository means that you get a URL. You get a URL, it is a central placement. With that URL, if it is private, you can only use. If it is a public, anyone can make use. This repository. So these images are now kept inside a place where you can use it like an endpoint, a repository. So that this process, this entire process is called as ECR, registry. And this is done. This is done. Now, once it is registered, once this thing is registered, now you have a chance for you to host a such thing because the image is there now. So earlier we learned about with help of image, AMIs, how to launch a machine, how to launch an EC2. We learned about that. If you have your AMI, you can launch a machine. You can launch an EC2 machine. I mean, similar to that, from the Docker, you have the registry part. Using the ECS, containerization service, using the Docker images, containerization service, you can launch your server. You can launch your server. Suppose in your EC2, you have your Linux operating system with web service, with a web server like Apache or something like that. So that is the image. Now you launch this one. You launch using this image. So once you launch in your ECS, what will happen? You get the web server ready within minutes. Is this clear? That is one way. You can have a container. You can have a container. In that container, you can launch from the registry, the images, Docker images, using that, like your AMI. That is one way, ECS. The second way is that there is a new service which has come. Why you should have a container? Why you should have a container? Like your Lambda, how it functions? Do you require a server to execute? Yes or no?
Can you repeat your question?
For a Lambda, you want to execute a code. In Lambda, do you have a server?
No.
We don't require. In a shared pool,
No.
it does, right?
Correct.
Same thing here also. In order to run your Docker image, why you should have an ECS again? One way is that you can have your ECS and deploy. That is one way. You can easily run in a shared pool also. What is the advantage of running in a shared pool?
Once I think once you're done with the requirement, you can release that.
That is not the primary one. Very cheap.
Yeah, cost means very
You are not
cost.
really paying for the resources.
Correct.
Right? You are only paying for the registry part.
The registry part.
Container you are not paying. So if your requirement is very little, why not use containerless Docker service?
Correct.
Right? Is this clear? You can use a container service and then deploy. That is one method. The second one is that without container also you can deploy the service in a shared pool. Is this clear? If you want, I can repeat if you say no. Is this clear? And that service is called as Fargate. Is this clear? And that service, if you are not using a container for deploying the application from the repository, it is called as Fargate. Users can access using this Fargate. So Fargate is a containerless repository service. I mean containerless service. I mean you don't have container in this. Is this clear? So the first part, this is the first part, this first part, and this is the second part. This is the second part. In my video also it is like that only. How to create the ECR is your first part. The second part is you're deploying your container. So here in the, I have shown you in the video also how you can create a Docker using this Docker image, create an image. So you see this one, your app is here, the same diagram, a little bit enhanced. So using this Docker service, you create an image, put it in the repository.
Are you sharing your screen, sir? We can't see.
Till now, no one has asked me.
We were just listening to your voice.
We thought you are explaining and maybe later on.
No, I'm showing also. Arre, so sad.
Yeah.
Huh?
Maybe misunderstanding.
No, I was asking number of times questions. Hey, anyway, I'll show once again. Okay. So now you are able to see my shared screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was showing everything and I am demonstrating also this particular one. I have gone through all these things. Now you can see the screen, my Word document.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. Please stop me if you are not comfortable also at any point of time. We know each other since 1 month. Okay. So it's not that I knew everything. Sometimes we do basic mistakes. I never knew that I didn't share that particular thing. Okay. So here you see this one. Again, I repeat in brief. You see this one. This contains 2 parts. So the first part is this is your simple EC2. Here you see this one. Yes or no?
Yes.
This is your EC2 and your app also deployed. Your app may be your web server or something like that, a database server or SQL server, whatever it is. You're deployed. And what does this Docker app do? This Docker, okay, the Docker service will let you take the image backup of your EC2. And that is called as a Docker image. Like your AMI, similar to that, this Docker image is taken, right? And these Docker images are kept in a repository. Repository means that like a central sharing, like GitHub and all these things are there, right? Similar to that. Repository, a place where you can keep all these things in a centralized location. And these things can be accessed from the repository using an endpoint URL. Is this clear? The repository also indicates that you have finalized everything. This Docker service has kept it for a ready reference. At any point of time, from the URL you can access. This is registered. Only the registered images only can be kept. So these repositories are of 2 types. One is public, the other is private. Is this clear? Public is meant for if you create the repository, anyone can access with the URL. But private, you create the repository, you have to log in and then access the repository. Even in GitHub also you have public as well as private. They charge for private repositories. Public they don't charge, they give free. Here also in your Amazon EC2, for your public repository, he has given 50 TB, I think, something data. You can have that many repositories inside. Public, not for private, they charge. So this is your first part of your registry. The second part is that once you have your registry, you can launch your application. 2 methods are there for launching the application. The first one is that you can host, this is the second method. Users can access the application once the containers are deployed. Using the deployment, using the registry. Like we deploy the application using the AMI, right? Same thing here also. Okay, that is one. You can use your container and then deploy so that the users access. That is one way. So the second method is, why should I use a container? That is one. So I can use a Fargate service. Fargate is a containerless container, right? In a shared pool, it runs all this program and users can still access the same, like your Lambda function accessing your application. Is this clear? And you pay only for the usage. If your application is not too critical, you can use Fargate. If your application requires a dedicated container, go for ECS. Is this clear till now? Okay, so now you can see this workflow. Your app is there in your EC2. This Docker will create an image and put it in repository. So the services you use is Docker Hub and ECR. This is the first part in the video. in the video which I'm going to show. So once this is done, this part is done, you have two options for hosting. Two options for hosting. This part you should know very clearly. So the first one is that you can create your own ECS that is using container service. Maybe you have a dedicated EC2 and then use this Docker image and deploy. Is this clear? So what is the big advantage? If you want 10 images, 10 servers of the same repository, you can launch a big one, a container you can create, and then you can have 10 systems in that, 10 EC2s within the same container. You can do that. That is one. The second one is your hosting method B, which is Fargate. Here you have, see, the workflow is deploying, scheduling, scaling, management. All these 4 tasks can be done in this particular one. In Fargate, nothing like that. You don't have anything which is called as EC2 here. We don't have EC2. See, here it is basically serverless, completely serverless. Okay. So here you can see no EC2 to provision or scale. Seamless. Pay only for what you use. That's all. How much users are executing, that particular thing only you pay for that. Nothing else. Integration with the AWS ecosystem is that AWS resources. Whatever are the AWS resources, you use that. And it is highly available. No clusters to manage, we don't create. Here you can have EC2, you can have even clusters. Clusters means that high availability. Load balancers and all these things we call as clusters. You can have here dedicated. So there are two methods, hosting A and hosting B. Is this diagram clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So in exam, he may ask related to Fargate. He may ask you about Fargate. So that's why you should know about Fargate. Now you see this one, these are the steps here. The first part of the video will tell you how to create a containerization. The ECR part is done in the first part of my video. I'm going to demonstrate now. Okay, the steps are very simple. If you want to do, you can also do this one, yum update and extras, you can install the Docker service. So once you finish off the Docker service, you see this one, install Docker and start the Docker service. Start the Docker service. You can also have a user. Instead of EC2 user, you can have the Docker. User mod means renaming this EC2 user as Docker, nothing else. So once this is done, you are also inviting in the same group. Once you can say, the first part is done, Docker has been installed, Docker info, you should get a output. So now you are going to create a sample, what we call as an image, sample image, Docker image. As I shown you here, you see this one, Docker image. So the first part is initialization of Docker service in your, this part is done. And second part in this first ECR is to create an image. So how do you do the image? Touch a Docker file, Docker build. I'm going to create a hello world application. Hello world application. So the application is there in this file, this text file which is there. You can see this particular one. If you extend this one, if you open this particular one, you can see the text file about what exactly this Docker is there. So the series of commands also you can see, run apt-get update, Apache 2 is installed, and run this hello world var www.html index.html. That's all. That's all. Nothing more, much more. So this service in Ubuntu server, this is an Ubuntu server, which will create an EC2 to a application called as Apache web application also ready. So this is done. This is done. Hello world Docker build with this particular Docker file. The .txt file is there. So then you can see this hello world image is created. This Docker image. You can ask Docker images and say that hello world is there or not, it will show you. So once this Docker image is ready, run the Docker image. You can run this particular one, Docker image. So here once I run the Docker image, ready for deployment. Ready for deployment. It is registered now. Anyone can make use. Hello world, paste the URI. Here you see this one, you get a URI here. I'll show you that. If it is a private, only you can use. If it is public, anyone can use. See, Docker images will tell you whether it is a private or public also. Okay. So now you can start working. The first part is done. You push that image also so that the URI is made public also, public or private, whatever it is. Push. So now the next part is that first part is done. The first part is done. Docker images are ready now. Images are ready. Now you have the task. You have the task. Here I am showing about the Fargate. So Docker image container. So you see this one, you create a task which can have container 1, container 2. Like that, you can have multiple containers also, especially in a clustering environment, especially in a clustering high availability situation. Container 1, container 2. So here we don't use any of this container 1, container 2, but still we'll go use for Fargate. So once the cluster is created, you define this Fargate next step. So how much amount we are going to use? We are going to use memory of half a GB and CPU of 0.25 CPU. That's all. That is image for that is enough for us. Fargate demo, right? So how much memory? 128 MB, maybe lesser than that, which is required. Add a container. So once this is run, you can see that the container is running. Container is running, and you can just start deploying. I mean, you can work across whether my website is running or not using the container deployment. It is done. It is done. So I'll just show you a small demonstration of how this container works. So again, I tell you, this is not very important, but still you have to learn about the terminology. But still, if anyone wants to shell out some money, you can use in your free tier account for this particular ECS and ECR and ECS. Okay. So how to do that? You will not spend more than 300 to 500 rupees, but still you will learn a lot. So this is the first part of my video, which will help you 13 minutes. This is Elastic Container Registry. The second part of my video is Fargate, that is 6 minutes. I'll just show you some of the highlights. And you can also see in this my video, there is the documentation also. Docs dot. You can see this particular one. Docs is also there.
In this lab tutorial, I will be showing
the documentation.
Demo on ECR.
So the same one is here.
Container Registry.
The same documentation is also here.
Using this Fargate. So for this,
I hope you all can hear the voice also.
You can make a Docker repository.
Yeah.
The local application which we have.
So I'm just skipping because already I spoke all these things.
Learn about how you can push and high performance architecture.
So there is a short notes. You see, this is 50 GB, not 50 TB. 50 GB of storage for public repositories free. Once you launch your ECR, you get 50 GB free for this one per month with AWS free tier. So you can create public images up to 50 GB. But for launching ECR or Fargate, there are charges. Not sorry for ECS and ECR, the Fargate you have charges. Not for ECR registry that they doesn't charge. Yeah. Any question?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jiva is waiting in the lobby. Actually,
Sorry?
suddenly close your plan. Jiva is waiting in the lobby.
Who is
Please
that?
check it once.
Who is there in the lobby?
Jiva Palam. Yeah.
No. I don't see.
Actually, he's joined that new link.
Okay. Now, how all you have joined, ask him to join in the same link. If you are using the new one, please.
No, in starting. No, in starting he's joined. After that, 7:15 itself, the video is cut off.
But I didn't do anything here. He can again rejoin once again. Because all of you
I
who
told
are
him,
there,
sir, he joined that link. But he told he's waiting in the lobby. You have to accept that. You only told like that.
I'm here in this room only. See, automatically all the people can come inside.
That's automatic is for a different group, I think, sir.
Huh?
Click on rules.
There is some.
Choose people you want to be.
Sir, those are for breakout rooms.
This is for a breakout session.
There is some issues, sir. Like we can see on top of people, it's mentioning 2 people are waiting in lobby, but we are unable to find them.
What shall we do? Shall we restart the session once again? Leave and start?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
One second, I'll stop the recording.